All right, welcome back to an all new episode of Let's Talk Lions. This is a live edition with a Philadelphia Eagles fan in the house. My guy, my cousin, Brian. Brian, what's happening, man?
Nothing much, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, listen, you know what? This is a big deal because obviously I don't like the Eagles. I grew up not liking the Eagles, but having you here my, right off the bat, my question for you is what's it like being a part of the probably the most hated fan base in the NFL?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There's parts of like Philadelphia fans that I love, and there's parts of it that I really hate being associated with them. And it's actually not what you'd probably think it was. Like when people tell me like, oh, I was gonna go to an Eagles game, but I don't want to wear a jersey. Like I'm afraid to and stuff like that. Like that's the part I kind of like, the fact that people know like it's green and black only in that stadium.
Yeah.
I like the fact that when we have road games, we've got 40-50% of the crowd sometimes. Like that's great. But man, we are hard on our athletes, and it's just the expectations for them, and like one bad game, it's fire, trade this guy. Like
Yeah.
that bugs me a lot. And I think our athletes like don't get appreciated enough. They're not allowed to have an off day. That's why it's cool to listen to your podcast, because it sounds like you bring a lot more positivity than you here in Philadelphia. I mean, I listen to sports talk radio, and it's just complaining
Yeah.
24/7. It's just the sky's falling. The sky's always falling. I tell you, if we lose to you guys, Nick Sirianni, like it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be real bad in Philly if we lose to you guys, because I mean we're what, 2-5.
Yeah.
This would really make life not fun for Sirianni.
Wow, what an intro. I love it, dude. That
Mm-hmm.
is that's amazing. Yeah, you know what? There is such a like this odd disdain for Philadelphia, I think fans. Like you're not the most hated team in the NFL. It's really the most hated fan base in a way where people are they just expect the worst. They just expect the worst out of them. And it's interesting how you do bring that up right off the bat about, you guys losing to us and what that would mean for your head coach and people, your players. Kind of a fascinating thing because here we are in Detroit and it's Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell starting out. This is his first season, and I've seen people already calling for his job, and I'm like, it's too early. It's too early. That's absurd. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't know that we're in a rebuild and you expected playoffs, that's you're in the wrong category. But anyways, hey, thank you everybody who is popping in. I see a bunch of people in the chat. YouTube GM. We got Antonio Gibson. Thanks for being here. Nith the Valiant. Hey, one of my Patreon subscribers. Good to see you here. Just to introduce you all who are just popping in, this is my cousin Brian, Philadelphia Eagles fan, and we're here to chat it up about this game Sunday. So you bring up your head coach, okay? What can you like? Give me your thoughts on Sirianni as a whole, because as I was saying to you before we came in here, if it weren't for Dan Campbell, I think your head coach would be making a few more headlines. But what are your thoughts about him rolling into this season?
Yeah, he's kind of a quirky dude. Our first game against the Falcons, we won. We won pretty big, and things were looking good. People thought his press conferences before our first game were weird. Like you could tell he was nervous. It seemed like he was in over his head. So people were pretty much doubting him to begin with. They thought he was kind of a hire, like a puppet hire, where it's like they knew he wasn't qualified for the job, knew he would take it, but then he would just do what the GM and the owner wanted him to do. Won that first game, and then we thought we had Sean McVay on our hands, and it's been pretty bad since then. But I mean, he's the son of a coach, and does a lot of this like rah coach speech,
Yeah.
and it just when you're losing games, it doesn't resonate with people. Um, this week he was making an analogy. He said he brought all the players into a meeting and was using a flower analogy.
I saw it.
Yeah, he was talking about basically saying like on the outside, we're not very beautiful right now, but you need to keep watering and fertilizing the soil to make those roots grow. And it's like Nick, what are you talking about, man? Like, so he's a quirky dude, but I personally, like, I want things to work out for him, but I'm gonna be honest. I think he's really underqualified for the position. I think he's in over his head.
Hmm.
He's never been a play caller before, so and you see it. I mean, he comes into the game with a game plan, and if it's not working, it's not till halftime that he makes adjustments. And you got to move on quicker than that. I mean, we'll go 5 3-and-outs in a row, and he'll keep doing the same screen passes like over and over again that just aren't working. And it's like, just gotta wait till halftime for him to think of a new strategy for the second half. So,
Wow, that's frustrating.
yeah.
That's really frustrating, man. And it's tough when you can see it. Like you as a fan being able to look and say, man, you're in over your head. That hurts. That hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we got
want the best for him.
yeah. And you know what? And I think that's what's tough. Like as a fan, you obviously want the best for your head coach. The same with us and Dan Campbell. Everybody wants him to get this W under his belt. But you got this guy even in here, YouTube GM. Sirianni's a bad coach. And the Eagles will be looking for a new coach in QB within the next few years. Do you think you guys are actually going to be looking for a new QB in the next few years?
Man, it's tough to say. There's Jalen Hurts. I mean, he has the potential to be a great quarterback. I don't know that ownership is that committed to him right now. I think that if things had gone a certain way with Deshaun Watson, they might have made that trade before the season started. So it's kind of like he's really got to prove it this year for them to decide to keep him. And I think he's been pretty good, like for what he's working with. He has some accuracy issues. Like from time to time, he just doesn't put the ball where it needs to be. We missed some big plays because he has some accuracy issues. If he could fix that, he could definitely, lead a team to the playoffs. And it's tough because most quarterbacks make a big leap from like years 1 to 2 or 2 to 3. Look at Josh Allen. Stuff. So, I mean, they could decide. I don't know. They could decide to move on from him after this year. And I mean, he could really turn into something a year later. So it's tough. We should have 3 high draft picks, 3 first rounders, probably all top 20. So there's going to be a quarterback there, and it's going to be a tough decision to make. We're going to have to see how he finishes the season out, but they might decide to draft a quarterback with one of those 3 picks. So
dang, and there's really not. Yeah, there's really not, from what I understand, a lot of great quarterbacks coming in out of this class. That's kind of what I'm hearing. Because people obviously wondering with Jared Goff and the Lions, like, oh, are we going to be looking? But from everything I'm hearing, not a great QB class, at least at the moment. Real quick shout out to Grandma B, number 1 LTL fan. The grandmother of both Brian and myself. Well, would you look at that? Thanks for being here. Also, we got Speakeasy here as well. He's got a great channel for anybody who hasn't checked it out. He talks a lot about Detroit sports. And if you do press the like button, he'll keep his shirt on. So that's definitely a W. Yeah, man. You know what? I know we kind of skipped over it. And also quick little $2 donation coming in from Lions fan Paulie LFP. 25-23 Lions. That's your prediction for the game, giving us the W. I do think it is the first W that the Lions put on the board. I do. All right. So my question for you, Brian, is obviously we're talking about your head coach. We're talking about Nick Sirianni. What about Deuce Staley? Because he was with Philadelphia for 17 years as a player and a coach. He gets overlooked for the job. They move on. They pick Sirianni. How did you feel about that? How do you feel about that now? Because he is a stud.
So is he your OC now?
No, he's our assistant coach.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he was the running backs coach for us forever. I think there was even a time when Coach Peterson got COVID, and I don't think he stepped in to coach for a game, but he basically was like the interim coach, for the week leading up at practice. He definitely, I mean, he should have at least gotten a promotion to offensive coordinator when they cleaned house and left him. I felt it was a little disrespectful not to at least give him the offensive coordinator spot, if not the head coach spot. And, they didn't do it. So I don't blame him at all for leaving. And, I'm sure he wants to win pretty bad this week and stick it to us. So, I hope the best for him. I'm glad to hear you guys. Sounds like you guys like him a lot, which is great.
Love him. Love him. He's phenomenal at what he does. He's able to get these guys. Like I look at him with the running backs as well. He's just able to grab the attention of guys like DeAndre Swift, these younger guys, and really build them up, build them into who they need to be for the future. And look, you're looking at another I believe a Philadelphia native, DeAndre Swift. For him, this is a pretty big week as well. He's coming off a good week against LA. He's our running back. And I know he grew up in Philadelphia, so this is a big one for him. But yeah, as a whole, for you, when you look at, another question, your offense, I think both of our offenses are not high octane. They're not. There's like, especially the lines. I can speak on the lines behalf, not a high octane offense. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at your offense as a whole, where is the greatest threat for you guys coming into this game against Detroit?
Probably me, Jalen Hurts taking off. He's usually good for about 50 yards on the ground rushing. And then Dallas got, Zach Ertz, he's, traded to the Cardinals now. So there's Dallas Goedert stepping up. Hopefully he's got big shoes to fill, but he's at this stage in his career is probably a better player than Zach Ertz is at his stage. So you have a good target there. I think he'll go to him a good bit. And then you've got Devontae Smith, of course.
Yeah.
Those are really our only, pass catchers, unfortunately. Everyone else, it's just not a lot of talent outside of those two. They'll definitely probably be drafting another wide receiver. And you guys get lucky also because Miles Sanders goes on the IR. So, but there's a rookie though, Kenneth Gainwell. He's been just as productive as Sanders this year. So, it's a step down not having him, but Gainwell should be able to get pretty close to the same production. But also Sirianni just doesn't run the ball much. So, I want to say to not expect them to run much, but also the fans have been coming down on him real hard about not running the ball. And I feel like the fans influence a little bit of what he does. So It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, the fans definitely get in his head, and I think he kind of listens to them a bit, which is
that's so odd.
Not something you want your coach doing. You kind of wish he would stick to what he believes is a good system, no matter what the noise is. Bill Belichick is not going to be taking opinions of fans or players.
Right.
But Sirianni's trying so hard to be liked right now by the city, and they're just screaming to run the ball. So I wouldn't be surprised if they run it more than they have in the past, but we'll see. It's a lot of RPOs. I'll tell you right now, Hurts is going to put, RPO. He's going to fake the ball to Gainwell, and Gainwell is almost never going to get it. He's going to pull it back.
Okay.
I'll tell you that.
All right. No, that's a great heads up right there. Would not have seen that coming. Dang. Yeah, because Jalen Hurts, he ran for, I think he had 60, 61 yards last week for you guys, being he had the most rushing yards for Philadelphia. And that's just a fascinating thing because the only quarterback that, I really hear of doing that is Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, these guys. I didn't know Jalen Hurts had that. I'm going to be honest with you, Brian. I haven't watched one snap of Jalen Hurts. Not one. I look at everything that happened with Carson Wentz, and I know that this is going down a route that I, did not anticipate, but what happened? What happened? Because just a few years ago, you guys are in the Super Bowl, and then there's the double doink, and then what happened?
I think I can explain that, at least from my perspective. There's a lot of layers there, though. To fully explain it would take a really long time. But, basically, you have him. He was on pace to be the MVP. He goes down. Nick Foles comes in. They win the Super Bowl. And he has to watch someone else win his Super Bowl that, he probably could have won himself from a backup. he watched the city just, he was a god. And then, now Nick Foles is the man. And then in that offseason, it was this weird, like 70-30 split of fans, 70% wanting Wentz, but like 30% of fans saying like it should be Foles' team now, which seemed crazy to me. But then the next 2 years, we go to the playoffs, and he's not starting for one because he's injured, and the other he is starting, and he goes out in the first quarter. So, the GM's like, well, we have to have an insurance policy. We can't keep getting this far, and then the season's just over, and we're in the playoffs with nothing that we can really count on. So there was value there in the second round at Hurts dropping there, and you had to have an insurance policy. It could happen. He was not drafted to replace Wentz, in my opinion.
Okay.
But there was a lot of value there, so they did it. And then I think Wentz just must have felt like he was kind of breathing down his neck, that he was on this short leash that I don't think he was on, and it affected his play. When I say Wentz was atrocious last year, I mean, it made it not fun to watch Eagles games anymore. I mean,
wow.
He held on to the ball too long. Just sack after he doesn't throw the ball away. And then in press conferences afterwards, the media will ask him about it, and he'll just flat out say, like, that's just how I play, and I'm not changing that, which is frustrating.
Ooh, yeah.
And he was just missing. Like, he's thrown a lot of interceptions, which he normally never threw interceptions. He always had a low ratio there. And then just missing guys, like even just like screen passes to a wide open running back who's got a touchdown 5 yards ahead of him. He threw it like 10 feet over his head. And I think the fans and Hurts were just in his head. He's going to the sideline. He had stopped talking to Doug Peterson basically on the sideline.
Oh, wow. That's bad.
He wouldn't even look at Hurts. I mean, it was definitely a weird situation for him. And it was a long leash they gave him. They let him play at least 12 atrocious games. And then finally it was like, we got to try something else here. And I probably after like 8 weeks, I was like, okay, I've seen enough. Nothing's changing.
Yeah.
So a lot of fans said, well, this is a big mistake that you're getting rid of him. He's going to go to Frank Reich and the Colts, and he's going to win a Super Bowl. And I said, I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe it does. But that doesn't mean it's a bad move, because he wasn't going to do that here.
Yeah.
It was done in Philly. So even whatever happens to Wentz, it was time to move on. And,
no, man, I get that. I mean, look at Stafford, right? Like all these people that are like, you have the two camps. Camp number one is, oh, wow. Like, why would we get rid of Stafford? The other camp is he hasn't done it in 12 years. Like, if he hasn't gotten it done in 12 years and we're entering into a new rebuild, is it going to happen? Like these are the last years, I think, of his prime. Like you're looking at the last 4 years of Stafford's prime. Don't quote me in the future when he just goes on to have a Brady career. But like when you look at it, I'm just like, it had to end. It had to end. It wasn't going to happen in Detroit. So let it happen in LA. I'd rather get those 2 first-round draft picks for the next 2 years from LA, see what we can cook up there, because I trust our GM. I do. I think our GM is phenomenal. He has a great track record in LA, so I'm really excited to see what he starts doing here in Detroit. But
I realize you guys got 2 firsts for that.
Yeah, we got 2021 and 2022.
Yeah, the only problem is they're the Rams first round picks.
I know. So you're looking at like 28, 27.
Yeah, I mean that's a great player at 28.
Yeah. And it's tough because like also a big part of me, I was a fan of Goff coming here because I looked at it and I was like, all right, listen, Goff obviously hasn't got it done. He went to the Super Bowl though. He's 3-3 in the playoffs. He's seen 3 more playoff appearances than Stafford. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt as long as I could. And here we are coming into week 8. He is not performing well. He's rough, man. It's bad. Like that feeling that you said where you're like, it's not fun to watch as Carson Wentz is just, that's like the feeling offensively. When I'm watching Goff play, I'm like, ooh, this just isn't even fun anymore. Like it's just hurting my heart. And so I'm very intrigued in seeing what's going to happen this week against Philly and after the bye, if he's able to stabilize or not, because the guy's playing for his career.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the truth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I was going to ask you about Galladay. I feel like you guys probably made the right call letting him walk. But, I mean, what's the future, you think, for Goff, and what's the future for your wide receiver core?
That's a great question, man. Galladay. Here's the problem with Galladay was he didn't want to be here anymore. So I don't want to say that he faked an injury, but he definitely babied the injury pretty hard last year when we could have used him for multiple weeks. I mean, he was out week 4 or 5, and then that was just the end for Galladay. He, didn't like the head coach, didn't like the staff. I get it. However, Galladay goes down and he wanted 18 million. So the Lions offer him 18 million. He says, no, I don't want it. He just didn't want to be here because how much did he get signed for in New York? 18 million, ladies and gentlemen. So he just didn't want to be here. So I was like, good riddance. I don't want you here. If that's the type of game you're going to play, get out. I don't need you. Don't get me wrong. Kills us in the wide receiver room because we lose Galladay and Marvin Jones. So there's 2 big hits. Yo, we don't have a true wide receiver 1. So what's the future? I think it's kind of seeing these guys that are playing this year between Khalif Raymond and Amon-Ra St. Brown. We drafted Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round this year out of USC. He's playing well, but we need to see him get more reps. The ball's not getting targeted to our wide receivers much because Goff doesn't throw for more than 15 yards. If he does throw the ball, he's checking down, it's throwing screens, or he's hitting Hockenson. So we don't see a lot of targets to our wide receivers. When we do, it's going to be Khalif Raymond, who's super fast, but there's no deep threat. We really have to figure out what's going to happen in the wide receiver room coming into this next year. I think we're going to have to draft a wide receiver pretty early on this year. We need it desperately.
Yeah. Well, hey, that might suit you guys well against the Eagles because their defensive philosophy is bend, don't break. Basically, we are up there in the top 3 in the league for least amount of big chunk plays given up. But because of that defense, I mean, you can just kill us with 4, 5, 6 yard passes and runs.
Yeah.
They just give it to you. Their philosophy was described as basically saying, don't give up any big plays and just, let them have to, have many play drives so that somewhere in there a mistake is made eventually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's so easy to get, 5, 6, 7 yard quick passes and runs on. You can just death by 1,000 paper cuts with us. And that's, yeah.
That was so sad. Yeah, because from what I understand, the Eagles are last in the NFL when it comes to the completion percentage allowed by a secondary. So you're looking at 74% completion percentage they're allowing the opposing team on average as a whole, last in the NFL. From what I understand, it's that the middle of your field, correct me if I'm wrong, it's that middle that struggles the most, where the secondary, you got Darius Slay back there, which God bless you guys. That was such a waste. Matt Patricia, you big idiot. That was the worst. But I mean, from there, that's kind of what I'm hearing about Philly. And that's a really good insight. I appreciate that. For anybody just joining, we have a real life Philadelphia Eagles fan on. One Brian, my cousin. So thank you all for being here. We just got a $5 donation from Wolfster 106. What do you think Philly needs to do to win? And what do you think that Detroit needs to do to win? Do you want to take that first?
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of covered what Detroit can do to win there. I mean, you just take advantage of what they give you there right in front of the field. Anything between 5 and 10 yards, unfortunately, it's been real easy to get from us. So you don't really have to worry about going deep because, they usually have 2 safeties back there anyway. It's not an aggressive defense. We don't blitz. Their philosophy is, just have 4 good guys on the defensive line, and that's your pressure. And then you have enough guys, behind them to, not allow big plays. But really, if you keep Devontae Smith in check, maybe double him, move a safety over by him with the corner, and then just keep an eye on Jalen, make sure he doesn't scramble too much. Lock those 2 guys down, and I think that's how you win.
Dang, dude. Yeah, it's interesting because like our secondary is pretty bad. Our secondary, I mean, we lost Jeff Okuda week 1. Achilles, boom, he's out, and he was our first overall pick, third or first round draft pick, third overall back in 2020. It must have been. So it's in his second year. He dies week 1, so he's gone. Then we draft a young guy, Ifatu Melanawu. He dies week 2 or 3. So we are losing cornerbacks. We got a lot of young guys kind of in there. And that's really where if Jalen Hurts can find Devontae Smith, I think you guys could find a lot of success against us. And I would go for the same thing. I think looking at the Lions, it's all going to come down to that Goff-Swift, Goff-Hockenson connection. Can we make those? Because if we can hit those 6-yard passes, man, I think the Lions are ranked fairly high. We are ranked fairly high in the NFL when it comes to yards after catch. We might be first overall in yards after catch. Don't quote me. Somebody in the chat, look it up because I'm not gonna, but it feels right. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting having Darius Slay come home. I think this is his homecoming, first time back since he got shipped off because of, Matt Patricia hating him. And one other thing I wanted to bring up, one other guy, what's this guy's name? Javon Hargrave?
Oh, yeah. I was going to bring him up too. Yeah, got him. It's weird because this is the second year we've had him. Got him from Pittsburgh. Last year just did nothing, and we paid him a decent amount of money. So it was really just disappointing. And then this year, just out of nowhere, just definitely a Pro Bowler. He's got 6 sacks, and 6 sacks at this point would be good for a defensive end. This guy's a tackle.
Yeah.
I told you we're not very aggressive. We don't get a lot of turnovers because of the way our defense is, and we don't even get a lot of sacks either. We have, I think, 11 sacks this year, and 6 of them are from Hargrave. So,
wow.
Yeah, you double him, and normally people double Fletcher Cox, but he's been pretty overrated for a couple of years now. I'd be doubling Hargrave and, leaving Cox in single coverage there.
Dang. Okay. Yeah. So big question for you are the Lions winning or is Philly winning? Who's winning this game, Brian?
It's interesting because I could see it going both ways. I mean, you guys, these players are really playing for Campbell, and you guys are getting so close to beating even good teams. So, and you're at home, so it just seems like you're due for a win, and this would be the spot to do it. But also, our backs are against the wall, and we have had a brutal schedule. We've played the Raiders, the Bucks, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the 49ers. That's 5 of our first 7 games. So I think a lot of people, especially Coach, had probably this one circled on his calendar. Like, all right, you got to get your win here.
Yeah.
And like I said, the stakes are high because if you don't get the win here, people are already calling for Sirianni to get fired. So I mean, it's gonna get real bad if they don't win this one. So I don't know. The Eagles are a 3.5-point favorite. I think it would be close. If I had to put my money on it, I'd probably put my money on the Eagles, but it also wouldn't surprise me.
Wow. Okay. Dang, I didn't know what you were gonna say there. That's interesting. Yeah, I think it's almost as if we're putting 2 cats into a cage and shutting the lights off. And we're like, best of luck, because it feels like 2 teams, like you said, backs up against the wall, trying all they can to secure the W. I mean, us for our first one, you guys coming off of 2-game losing streak, 3-game losing streak at this point.
Last game we won was against the Panthers, and that was probably week 5. So I think that would make it 2 games in a row.
Okay, so then this would be a 3rd game. When's your bye? Because this is for us. We need this because then we go into the bye the following week.
Yeah, I don't think our bye is till late in the season, like week 13 or something like that.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. And here's a guy, Anthony White. He asks a great question. I mean, what's better, Detroit Coney dog or a Philly cheesesteak? Nah, I don't know if you've ever had a Detroit Coney dog, but I'm gonna go with a Philly cheesesteak because if you haven't,
is it just like a hot dog? Like what is it?
It's a hot dog, I believe, with like chili on it.
Oh,
I mean, Yeah, which a
That's
chili dog is
on it,
good.
man.
Yeah, but I gotta say the Philly cheesesteak is big. We got a big donation coming in here from KDog87. You're the best, Jay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the donation. Way too kind. Way too kind. Yeah, so I think, for me, I don't know if you have any other questions kind of coming into this game or not. If not, I got one more for you, pretty big, but I don't want to waste your evening. I know you had a rough day at work. You got to get home. You got to enjoy the rest of your night. So I don't know if you have anything for me, but if not, I got one for you.
Let's see. I think I covered everything I was going to ask you about, except for there's another homecoming here. Vaitai. You guys like him?
You know what? There are mixed reviews. Mixed reviews on Vaitai because I feel like there's so much more potential for Vaitai that he's not meeting out here in Detroit. And not that he's been a letdown, but in ways I watch him and I watch him play and I'm like, this year he's had more success than he has in the past. But I just feel like there's a higher level that he's not hitting.
Yeah. Do you guys move him around like when people get injured? Because I know he kind of like just filled in every injury for us.
Yeah, that's basically what it's been out here, especially because early this year we lose our left tackle and we had drafted Penei Sewell. So he was going to play right tackle. So we have all this figured out. Week 1, right before week 1, Decker gets hurt in practice. So we have to move him over here. So now we start moving on the right side. So yes, it is definitely, he is a shuffle type of card in there.
Hey, keep your eye. I don't know if you've heard of Jordan Mailata.
No.
Jordan Mailata. Keep an eye out for him. He's our left tackle. We drafted him in the 7th round. He was a rugby player. He's a mountain of a man. He had never played football in his life.
Stop.
But he is the largest thing you've ever seen. Played rugby. His highlight tape is hilarious because there's all these little guys trying to bring him down. He's 3 times their size and just carrying them. So we taught him how to play football. He's just sat on the bench and learned from our offensive line coach, who's a stud, for like 3 years. And he had a great preseason. And the Eagles, it was his last year because he's probably been here for 3-4 years, but this is the first year they played him because they were teaching the guy football. And he had a great preseason, and it was, he'd be a free agent after this year, and they had to decide, do we let the league see what he's capable of and then have to potentially pay him more later, or do we lock him up now? And they decided, we think he's going to be too expensive if we let them see what he can do. And so they gave him like 4 years, like $64 million for his.
Holy cow! Yeah, no way!
Look at the size of this guy. 7th round pick, rugby player.
What's his name?
Jordan Mailata.
How do you spell Mailata?
Mailata.
Oh, I got him. Jordan Mailata. Holy cow!
Yeah, pretty
6'8".
Yeah, cool story.
Dang, that's amazing. You know what? The coolest one we have is a lacrosse player who's a wide receiver now, and it ain't the same. This is sick, man. He plays left tackle, you said?
Yeah, and we drafted a guy in the 1st round, like 17th overall pick, Andre Dillard, also left tackle, and he beat our 17th overall pick out for the spot.
Holy
cow. I mean, normally GM doesn't let that happen because it makes him look bad. But
yeah. But hey, man, you got to put the right guy in.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, sweet. Are you watching the game? You gonna be going out for Halloween, doing anything fun?
We'll see. My fiance's sister just had a baby, so we're kind of on babysitting duty right now. So I might be at their place all weekend watching their little kids before they come home from the hospital. So Halloween's up in the air for me. How about you?
Yeah, we're gonna hang out. We got a couple friends coming over. We're gonna watch the game together. I'll dress casually for the game. Get the old Barry jersey out, and then afterwards we're gonna have a party. So that'll be fun. But my last question for you, Brian, before we head out here is it time to bring back Empire Earth?
Oh my gosh. As anyone listening right now, if you didn't play this game on your computer, what, 20 years ago, 15 years
Easily.
ago? I was just thinking about it the other day too.
Were you
Wow,
really?
what an amazing game. Yes, of course it's time to bring it back.
Yes, real-time strategy. We used to play over, internet. It was internet like I'm an old man. It was so much fun, dude. And I was thinking about it today. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time. Figure it out. They got to have it on like Steam or something like that. You,
Yeah.
me, Bob, Dylan, get Kevin in on it. We all just play some Empire Earth.
Yeah, or get that cable to connect the two Game Boys and get a little Pokemon Red version out.
Yes. Oh my God. Great memories. Well, dude, thank you for coming on. Thank you for your insight into this game for the Philadelphia Eagles. Everybody else, thank you for being here. Brian, I definitely appreciate it, man. And best of luck this Sunday, though. I hope we take the W. I'm just saying.
Yeah, man. May the better team win. Yeah, congrats on the success of the podcast. It's been awesome. I hope to be on again sometime.
Absolutely. We will absolutely have you back on, Brian. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate it, man. See ya.
All right. Catch you later.